We have some breaking news from Ian Rappaport, friend of the show. Bears coach Matt Nagy, as of 1:08 Eastern Time, has announced the obvious, he says, Rappaport says. Undefeated quarterback Mitchell Trubisky of the Chicago Bears, 2-0, will be benched. Starting quarterback now. Nick Foles is now the starting quarterback for the Chicago Bears. Something we all thought was going to happen whenever they signed Nick Foles and traded Nick Foles in the offseason. They said, no, we have a fair competition here. They're going to battle. We talked to Charles Davis, who had the Bears in one of the previous weeks, and he said that he asked the other players, not just the coaches, if this was a fair competition. He said it was a fair competition. The reps were split 50-50 in training camp. Now, Nick Foles didn't have OTAs, didn't have off-season workouts, didn't have any of this to build up a rapport with his wide receivers because we all know COVID-19 came through from the side there and elbowed everybody's plans for anything normal. So now, Nick Foles going into week 4 with an undefeated Chicago Bears team is now at the helm. He's paid more than Mitchell Trubisky. He had more touchdowns this past weekend than Mitchell Trubisky. And in our eyes, this was something that I assume Matt Nagy was ready to do. He just said, give me a reason, Mitch, and he did yesterday. Even though Mark Sanchez said, this feels like an early hook, an early pull. The guy's undefeated. You might lose a game, go 2-1. What do you want him to do? Nagy was sitting there saying, no. We got the guy who called a play for himself in the Super Bowl, caught a touchdown. Now there's a statue, goes to Jacksonville. Duval says, we got everything must go. We got a guy. Let's go ahead and play him. He looked good for us in one half for us yesterday.
Do you think they will implement a Wild Mitch package just to still have him in the rotation and get his throws in?
Zito said absolutely. I'm not 100% sure. I don't know how that. I'll be excited to see the psychology of that quarterback room. You know what I mean? Like that's an interesting thing. I mean, it has been since the beginning. I've never been in a building where there's public open competition for the starting quarterback gig by two vets that are competing against each other who've already had wins and everything like that. Don't know how it works actually. Because it's going to be natural for guys to like one person more than the other person. It's just a kind of a weird thing, especially in the locker room with the quarterback position, because who's speaking up, who's doing what, who should we follow? They have two leaders, two quarterbacks in there, 50-50 split. But, boy, if Nick Foles wins a couple games here, seems like Mitchell Trubisky might be dead.
Imagine how bad you have to be at quarterback to be undefeated and lose your job.
Come on. This is tough. This is what Mark Sanchez was saying. He was like, the guy's undefeated. They went 2-0. You know how many teams are 0-2 right now? You know how many teams are 1-2 right now? A lot of good teams. A lot of good teams, everybody said. 1-2 right now. But instead, Mitchell Trubisky, undefeated quarterback, not around here, bud. When you got that tripod sitting behind you, there is a chance that could happen. Another team that got better yesterday, second half, roughly.
Yeah.
Right around the half.
Roughly around the second half.
5 minutes in the second half.
Yeah, there it is.
Yeah, there was like 10 minutes left in the third, I think. I was on the clock, I believe, around there. This dude just came trotting out onto the field with a fucking visor on. Did you guys see this?
Oh, yeah.
It was in Atlanta down there. It was down there in Atlanta.
Really?
Just came trotting in.
Oh, the three-legged guy.
The tripod guy. Yeah, the Super Bowl champion tripod comes waddling in with a visor all of a sudden, and then he just pick. Whoa, that was bullshit call. How is that even an interception? Is this going to break him? No, because he comes back on the field afterwards. 3 touchdowns later, down 16 or something like that. Come back to win the game. He's a hero. Oh, my God. Big Dick Nick Foles is now the QB in the Midway Chicago Bears. Zito, you have to be pumped about this.
Bear done.
No, just like 4 days ago, you're like, Mitch we trust, Mitch we trust. Trubisky's my quarterback.
Mitch.
Nick Foles comes in there, does exactly what Nick Foles does. And to Diggs' tweet's credit, the Atlanta Falcons did exactly what the Atlanta Falcons do. Last week, it was they didn't know the rules. This week, it's Nick Foles.
Did you think there was an onside kick again?
What's that?
Did you think they were going to have an onside kick again?
I thought there was a chance that they were going to be able to make up for what they did a week ago. But whenever Nick Foles gets in the game, there's an energy. So, for instance, there's a guy named Frank Reich. He's currently the head coach of the Indianapolis Colts, who beat the brakes off of the Jets, who might be That might be the worst football team I've ever seen on a television screen.
I want to see the 0-16 Lions versus this team so bad.
Well, next week we have the Clemson versus Jets talk coming. So.
Dan Orlovsky said that his 0-16 Lions team, the team that you are thinking about, and the clip that you are thinking about is currently being aired on our screen here, where Dan's running for his life in the back of the end zone while Jared Allen's celebrating, whatever, you get it. Dan Orlovsky said, my 0-16 Lions would beat the Jets 16 times. And after watching them play the Colts yesterday, that might be true. I think I could have won in there and did some damage against that Jets team.
Yeah.
It just looks like that whole team hates everything. They hate the coaches. They hate playing. They hate themselves. They hate the fact that they're wearing the Jets. I mean, just everything seems bad. And by the way, we're only 3 weeks into this thing. And was it a week ago, the owners of the Jets said, Adam Gase, offensive guru, this guy's a genius. But aside from the Jets sucking, okay, you know that's going to happen. You know the Atlanta Falcons probably going to try to fuck it up. I mean, that's what they do. But when Nick Foles gets on the field, you know there's going to be
stop him.
Frank Reich, whenever he was with the Bills, when he would come on the field, they'd be like, oh, this guy's going to go. He came back from like 28 down or 25 down a couple times. He was called Mr. Comeback for a reason. When Nick Foles comes on, you're like, holy shit, here we go. And the interesting situation now is, like Mitch Trubisky, undefeated starting quarterback, 2020 in the NFL, right?
With a comeback.
Like actually undefeated, real life undefeated. Nick Foles, undefeated. Nick Foles, you're paying more to. Nick Foles is a Super Bowl champion. We all saw what Mitch Trubisky did last year, and we have no idea what Nick Foles could potentially do, but we know that it's probably not going to be what Mitch did last year, which was oddly reminiscent to what he looked like in the first half of yesterday, in the first 3 quarters of the first game, in the second half of the second game, the first half of the... I mean, he has a chance to really look bad on Mitch Trubisky, but he is currently undefeated. Nick Foles also undefeated. Now, do they have too many quarterbacks up there in Chicago that can win games for them?
They have the best quarterback room in the whole entire league.
What do you do, Zito? If you're Nagy, by the way, don't love that Nick Foles took the visor off, okay? Because he had it on the sideline. Everybody knows he had it on the sideline to look cool. Like, hey,
Very cool. Yeah.
Nick Foles looks cool. He has the visor on. By the way, I wish I could have pulled it off, but I couldn't see the ball as well, which I'm assuming he potentially found out as well. But him with that visor on, jogging on the field, I'm like, okay, Nick Foles 3.0? This is 3.0. 4.0, actually. You go Rams, Eagles, Jags, Bears. Right? I'm assuming it's somewhere else. No,
You could even do 5 because he starts with the Eagles, right? He had that 27 touchdown, 0 interception streak there.
So this is Nick Foles 5.0 has the visor on. I'm like, all right, here we go. We're swinging around in the midway. Takes the visor off after throwing a pick, whatever. He goes back and leads them to a victory. Zito, you're Matt Nagy.
Yep.
You can start Mitchell Trubisky, who's Mitchell Trubisky, we know.
Yep.
Or you can start Nick Foles, who
He has 3 legs.
we know who Nick Foles is.
I've said it before. I still believe in Mitch. 100%. I think we start off every game with Mitch, first half, second half, Nick Foles every time.
Kinda like
Nick Foles is
activate his
amazing
closer.
off the bench. Why not take advantage of that? And it's a 2 quarterback scheme. Why not?